People are infatuated with Eric Bieniemy. Like, the immediate thing is, let's fire Ron. Eric Bieniemy's the head coach.
Let's not get crazy. Bieniemy's
I understand that.
1.5
I'm just telling you where we've had countless callers who say Eric Bieniemy is the future head coach. And I think that that's part of it. And then the Jack Del Rio thing is they're just looking at a defense that's underperforming. And the expectations are this defense is going to be a top 5 defense, top 10 defense at worst.
Look,
and they're giving up 30 points a game.
I don't like the formula, but the fact is that Del Rio's defenses pick it up by about week 5.
Right. They chill
They usually
the first
do.
month.
The first
And
4 weeks,
this
they
is-
kind of figure out what they've got.
They're
Right.
DC chilling.
And then they kind of lock down. So, I expect them to play a lot better down the stretch.
They played very well in the Arizona game, kept them in the game. All right. You could argue
At
it won.
moments, yeah.
You could argue it won for them in the second half.
For sure.
Second half, Denver game, same thing. All right. Then you play two of the best teams in the league. All right. Didn't help that you gave the ball away 5 times in Buffalo game. And then, we saw the struggles against Philly, but this is the game where you get healthy.
Right. Now, if the Bears come in and hang 35 on the Jack Del Rio defense, that's when the cat calls really start.
I'm almost willing to guarantee that doesn't happen.
You're going to guarantee it?
I'm almost willing.
Eric, would you say that this Thursday night game is just as important for Jack and the defense as it was for Hal against the Eagles?
Maybe, but Jack's a little more established. That's the only difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And DCs don't usually get fired after
They
5
don't,
games.
But as good as this defense
And
should
he
be,
likes
and as
Jack.
much has been poured into it financially,
Yeah,
like
Jack's his guy.
this defense should look kind of like the Seattle defense looked last night against Daniel Jones against Justin Fields.
Yes.
Like that's the sort of
Couple
performance that you
turnovers.
expect from this defense.
Yeah.
And you haven't really seen it.
You got to force Field into a couple turnovers. minimum.
Absolutely. Make his life a living hell when he's here in FedEx
This
Field.
should be the epitome of the get-right game.
Yes.
It should
They
be.
only score 19 points a game, which is 22nd in the league, and they're giving up 34.3 points per
Fields is the 3rd most sacked quarterback in the league. So you got Hal, Jones, Fields.
Well, he'll literally hold on the ball for 10 seconds.
Yeah, you
He'll
got to
look around like that
Well,
guy
if he
doesn't
does
process
that, then
quick.
Chase Young's going to have like 3 sacks.
Now, he could still kill us with his legs. And I know he threw 4 touchdowns last week. I'm going to say that's an outlier. So I would just,
He
I
hasn't
pressure
run
him like
nearly
crazy.
as much this year as he did last year. He's
not running.
reined that in.
Right, but he is capable.
Oh, he's definitely capable.
He should
Yeah,
be.
I mean,
That's
so
what he should be doing.
If we're rushing his ass like crazy and leaving lanes open, he could kill you.
But back to your premise, Cakes. Are you surprised that people are calling in saying fire Ron,
a little
fire
bit,
Jack
because,
Del Rio?
Like when you're breaking down the schedule and you're picking every game, like we do multiple times every year, people expect them to be at 2-2 or maybe even 1-3 at the quarter pole.
I
So
understand
that's
that.
where they are.
But it's the emotions of, here's Riverboat Ron. And if you looked at his quotes from a couple years ago, you can't believe he didn't go for 2. But the emotions of they didn't go for 2. They lose the game. Plus, they've never been infatuated with him. Maybe his first season, but since then, people have lost it for Ron.
They have. No one
So
loves
that
him,
was
but
part of it. And
he-
then the
he
Del
hasn't done
Rio
enough
thing.
bad to
And the Del
consider
Rio
this.
thing is just, they're just not, they haven't been good the first month of the
People
season.
don't love Jack either. And he's kind of
I
a
know.
gruff guy.
He's saying he's still surprised. And Grant and B. Mitch and Finley said they're surprised. I'm not. Are you surprised? Going back to his premise.
Somewhat. Because I don't think they deserve it now. I think they, 2-2.
But that's not the premise. The premise is, are you surprised that people are calling for their heads?
I
I'm not
am
surprised by the fans.
given the fact that we're 2-2 and we've got a nice little stretch coming up here that they should be able to take advantage of.
If they're 4-3 or 5-2,
if they lose, if they go 1-2 the next couple,
Yes.
then I would start to say, oh wow, pay attention to.
I'm
what's
not
going
surprised
on
with fans, but maybe because I look at our Twitter at Junks Radio and I see so many people
If they lose,
calling for
if
Jack
they
Del
lose
Rio's
to the
head.
Bears at
It's not
home,
surprising to me at all.
If they lose Thursday night, I will be changing the date on the Ron Golf
Oh,
Tracker. That it will no longer read January 8th. It'll
Just
be.
as-
It's going to be an in-season
This
firing.
It could be.
This is every bit as must-win, maybe more so than the Arizona game was, week 1.
I would agree.
We said that early on. We said, I know it's crazy to say this, but the way the schedule lays out, you kind of have to win your first 2. And they did, thank God, barely, because we knew trouble was around the corner with Buffalo and Philly. Now, thank God we played much better against Philly, and you feel pretty good. But if they lose this Bears game,
This is where I'm a little bit. This is where I'm a little bit with.
Really comes on.
This is where I'm a little bit with Grant Paulson, and that Danny alluded to this yesterday when we had Danny Rouillet join us, and he said, that Grant doesn't like to call games must wins. I think they must win 2 of the next 3. So to me, this game is not a must win because you could lose this and win your next 2, and you're still in an okay spot. So to me, it's not the must win.
Ideal world, they win all 3.
I think
they go
it's
on
a
little
must
bit
win.
of a heater. They go on a run.
Sure,
I think
ideally.
it's a must win just based on how poor Chicago is, and you can't lose games like that. You got to beat the really bad teams on your schedule.
Yeah, but my point is, if you lost this one and you won your next 2, the conversation would be they're 4-3. They're still in a good spot.
I understand mathematically why you would say that, but I think the probability of you beating some of the other teams on your schedule that you say I'm better than them, we're better than them, would go down if you lose to the worst team in the league.
Sure, I understand that.
You can't lose to the Bears.
No.
Not with all
Not
their
at home.
Not with all their poor defensive rankings. You can't.
No, they have to come up big. They need to improve upon that performance against Philly. They need to continue it offensively, and defensively they need to really tighten it up.
This could be the 38 ball that the Commanders put up where I have to pay off the bet.
Are you a little bit nervous
This
about
could be
it?
the one. This could be the one where like the Commanders offense just erupts and scores like 40.
It's
now,
your
what you
best
have
shot.
going for you, though, is the offensive line does make it challenging.
Right.
They do make it challenging. But if Hal has time, he can hurt you for sure.
I think he's going to have some time. The Bears just don't
This
get after
might be the game
quarterback.
where you get a defensive score too.
Yeah, I
Does
should
that
have.
count?
Fields
That
coughs
counts?
up, of course. It counts as points, doesn't it?
No, I think I had a carve out. It had to be offensive points.
I don't
Really?
remember
You
that.
better check that
These,
bet
You're
book.
gonna have to check. You're gonna have
The
to check the audio. 'Cause
Well, that makes sense because we were
we're
arguing
talking
about the offense.
You know, defensive points should not count.
I just don't know if we made that card. I don't know if you were savvy enough.
I think
don't know
I'm
if you were
savvy.
savvy
Is it
enough.
in the bet book, Cakes,
I've
behind you?
learned. I don't think it's in the bet book. I think that's an audio bet. That's an audio special.
All right, let's go to Larry in D.C. Larry, what's up, man? You're on with the Junkies.
Hey, top of the afternoon, Chunks. What's happening, fellas? Man, hey, big fan.
Thank you.
Thank you,
What's up,
Larry.
buddy?
Straight to the point. Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio.
Mm-hmm.
We not asking for their heads. Them 2 cats, since they've been here, our team has played like they coach with their arms folded. I don't see nobody. We don't. Y'all, us, everybody and their mother. These cats, when they rush the passer, if the quarterback not sitting right directly beside anybody, they're not going to tackle him. I don't see nobody doing anything with this intensity that I'm looking at other teams. I'm so jealous of watching these other teams' defensive ends look and wreak havoc. Even if they losing, they wreaking havoc.
Mm-hmm.
I went back like 2 years ago, 9-7. I said, hold on, time out. We 9-7 again? We got the same team. We didn't add on again. 4 straight years, 5 now. These cats haven't added on to nothing that we needed. Offensive linemen, we needed years ago. You understand? And our defense, these Alabama boys, man, come on. All right, y'all want to raise your intensity up in this contract year. But Slim, every time we turn around, somebody running up our guts for 7, 8, 9 yards a time.
It's not true.
Well,
It's not true. Like this
There are
week they
moments.
faced.
There are moments.
This week they faced the best rushing team in the NFL, particularly the 2 weeks prior to them facing the Commanders. The Eagles had rolled up over 400 yards of rushing offense. DeAndre Swift was becoming one of the better running backs in the game, and they did a pretty good job at limiting the Eagles' rushing attack.
Why didn't they give Swift the ball more? Did he get hurt?
He was only averaging 3 yards a pop.
no.
Because
I
but
think he had
just looked
14
dynamic.
carries.
He looked dynamic to me, and I
He's
was,
got-
He's got bursts.
I was thankful that they
They didn't give it
kept
to him
giving it to
because
the other
A.J.
guy.
Brown was wide open all the time.
I don't know, but they were
Forbes.
giving it to another guy. Who was the other back?
Kenneth
Gainwell.
Gainwell.
Yeah, I
But
didn't
they
hear about
always
him.
mix it up.
Well,
Yeah, that's what they do.
Swift compared to Gainwell, it's not
Yeah.
even close.
I don't
Like,
even know why they were
I think
messing
the
with that
coaching
other
staff,
guy.
I think they trust Gainwell a little bit more, but they know that Swift is a much
Every
more
time they gave it to
explosive
Gainwell,
runner.
that was a win for me.
right.
Yeah, but if you look at the box, DeAndre Swift had 14 carries.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I actually, he had 56 yards. Okay. So, yeah, a little bit better than what I thought. But Gainwell had 4. Hurts had 9. I mean, they ran the ball 27 times, but my point is the Commanders did a pretty good job. 27 for 104. You'd take that based on what they
You
had
held
been
them
doing
under
the
4
previous
yards
2
a carry.
weeks.
If you hold the Eagles in the game under 4 yards of carry, that's more, to use the term, moral victory.
Right.
Thank you.
And Swift going into that game,
He was
if you
getting
were
a
to
bunch
look at
of
his
carries.
game log, I mean, he's averaging 6.2 yards per carry on the season.
He had 28 carries a few weeks ago.
Right. The game before that, he had 16 carries, so only 2 more carries. All right, against Commanders, 14 for 56. The week before against Tampa, 16 for $130. The game before that, 28 for $175. So I actually think the Commanders' rushing defense did a pretty good
They
job.
did well.
Let me also
Where
say
was that
this.
caller getting 9 and 7
I
records
don't
from?
know.
I don't know. He's making it up, but it's fine. You know, middling. I just take it as middling. It's
Okay.
fine. I wouldn't take him literally.
They don't have winning records under Ron.
You know how I said there's no moral victories this week or the next couple weeks? I actually looking at the rest of the schedule. I think you could take moral victory out of the equation for any other. I think it's gone. I think that was the moral victory
You
opportunity.
need real dubs.
I mean, the rest of the way, because everybody else is either somewhat equivalent.
What about
to
when they
you.
play San Francisco?
I mean, I assume it doesn't mean we won't lose. I think we'll probably lose, but I don't think you get any moral victory if you lose a close one to San Francisco. You know, there are
Why?
They've
You had
proven
a
'cause-
close
because they've
loss
proven.
because of the Eagles.
but they've proven that they can play. Like prior to that, they had not
okay.
proven.
So if you would have played San Francisco this week instead of Philly, you would have said moral victory.
Possibly, yeah. I think so. I just don't have as big a file on San Francisco. I know they're great.
I mean, they're
I know
most,
they're great.
in most power rankings, they're 1.
They're one, yeah. No, for sure.
Okay.
Buffalo, if they had played great against Buffalo, Philly, or San Francisco like this week, I would say more of it. I think the moral victory after that performance against Philly is now off the table the rest of the season. There's no more moral victories. That was the opportunity, and they came up big.
Look, I'm just saying this week
They did.
They came up big with the moral victory.
They lost, but they came up big.
this week against the Bears. I mean,
There's no moral victories to be had.
I know
the rest of the way.
I know the NFL season can just flip flop with any team based on scenarios and injuries and certain factors. But man, you lose to the 0-4. They've given up 137
Who are you
points.
picking? Who are you picking?
Oh, I'm picking the Commanders.
Okay, good.
I'm going to load up on the money line.
Oh, you are.
You are.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to win a ton of money because they're minus 270.
Right.
But I'm going to load up on
You're
that.
going to take what you think is a sure thing.
I think it's a sure thing.
I don't think it's a sure thing. I think it could be tough.
I mean,
But
again,
I think there
can't
could be
predict
a
the
little
future.
bit of a letdown.
Dude, you're on the fence almost every week. Like 2 weeks when they play Buffalo, I don't think they're going to win, but I have a tingle. Now you're like, I think they're going to win, but it's going to be tough.
Well, because I don't see
Now,
us
if they would've
playing
lost-
consistently, JP.
Now, here, Eric,
Maybe you do. I
if
don't
they
see
would've
us.
The point
lost-
is you can't lose in your arguments because you take both sides.
Go ahead.
if I would have lost if they would have lost the Philly game 31-10 and Sam played like he did the week before, then it's more of a coin flip. But the way they both looked, I mean, Fields look good, but defensively they're terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we should win 80% of the time.
Now, if it was at Chicago, different story. But home game Thursday night, gotta win.
JP, I was wrong about Philly. I thought we were going to lose. I thought we were going to lose pretty big. In fact, I almost lobbied for forfeit. That's how bad I thought we were going to lose against
Yep.
Philly.
And they're right there.
I'm overstating
Forced
every
overtime.
week, but more often than not, you basically play both sides.
Well, because I could see anything happening with this team. I don't think we're a dominant team. And anything can happen. And if we lose to Chicago, it's bad.
Yeah.
Real bad.